Hey, what's up you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of playtesting. As you guys know, update 15.11, because that's a thing, just dropped, and along with it came a rework for Ember. They buffed up a few stats and altered a few abilities, so the question is exactly how these changes affect Ember's gameplay. And the only way we're going to find out is with a good old-fashioned debunk. So let's start with the easy stuff. First off, I think my favorite thing about the changes is the increase to her movement speed. It's great in combination with World on Fire in order to get you right where you can deal the most amount of damage. On a lesser note, she's also got a boost to her stamina for a little more sprint and melee action, or if you really feel it necessary, you can also parkour with it. In addition, she also got a boost to her base armor from a measly 15 all the way up to 100 for the basic model and 125 for the prime. With a max vitality, before the buff, her effective health sat at 777. At 100 points of armor, her effective health jumps to 986, while at 125 points of armor, her prime variant tops out at 1048. Now let's switch gears and take a look at the changes to her abilities. Fire Blast, in addition to the ring of fire it originally laid down, now creates a wall of fire that expands outwards, dealing damage to enemy it hits, knocking back enemies caught in the blast. Now there are two schools of thought to this. It's great because of the fact that now Ring of Fire will deal its damage to a larger area of effect, rather than just limit itself to the ring. It can also knock enemies away from pods or down players you're trying to revive. Now, from playtesting, I'm not really sure if this is a bug. While it definitely knocks enemies away from you, it's definitely not knocking down enemies 100% of the time. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, for players that have been using the ring and have the tendency to drop the ring's edge right on top of enemies to deal continuous damage, it's actually a bit of a damage downgrade since it's knocking enemies out and away from the edge of the ring. And while it synergizes just fine with Firefight versus the Infested, when it comes to any other faction who usually take cover, not being able to lay the ring right on top of them and have that continuous panic proc definitely hinders the synergy with that augment. So while the changes to Fire Blast are a bit playstyle based, World on Fire turns out to be a bit of a dud. The biggest issue being the fact that extended duration builds are actually paying more for World on Fire now than they were previously. For example, the build I had been using gave World on Fire a duration of approximately 24 seconds. With max efficiency, I would only consume 25 energy for the entire duration. With World on Fire's new and improved setup, I would be paying a 12.5 activation cost, then an additional 1.5 energy per second to maintain it, which during a 24-second duration is 30 energy, plus the 12.5 activation cost, for a total of 42.5 energy. And here's the kicker, using the original World on Fire wouldn't turn off energy siphon during its duration. So, once the original World on Fire wore off, you would have gained approximately 14 points of energy, bringing the offset cost of the original down to 11 points of energy versus the reworked version's 42.5. Now, if there was some additional control effect or a large bump to the damage, it might have been worth it, but other than its toggle effect, there really doesn't seem to be any additional changes to the skill. So all in all, while there were some positive changes, overall I honestly don't think that this rework did too much to boost Ember's usability. While she's still incredible at dealing with the Infested, the rest of the factions still tear through her like toilet paper. Playing her solo in series just makes it painfully evident that she's not capable of standing on her own, unless she's ducked behind barrels taking potshots at bombards, and using Ring of Fire to keep the few melee units that rush her at bay. To put it very simply, I think the biggest issue with Ember is that her specialty is damage over time, meaning that she is made for wearing enemies down and not necessarily killing them outright. In addition, 3/4 of her skills are AoEs radiating from her position, which forces her to traverse through enemy fire just so she can start wearing them down. Yet, she herself has very limited survivability and a very limited amount of ways to control her enemies. While at lower levels, the problem isn't as apparent, towards the back end of the star chart she already starts experiencing issues. But at least we have Warmiest now, right? So thank you all for watching another episode of Debunked. For something a little more lighthearted, I'm going to point you towards episode 1 and episode 2 of Invite Only, where you can experience me acting a fool, more so than the usual amount. Now, don't forget to do the thing that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned for all kinds of flaming here at A Gay Guy Plays. See, while Ember might not be the most powerful Warframe, at least she doesn't spend the whole fight monologuing. And that's why you did, Vor. That's why you did.